3 weeks after the scout ship incident, the Imperial diplomatic vessel Peacebearer approached the coordinates Earth had provided. The ship's gleaming white hull reflected the distant sunlight as it moved carefully toward a massive space station floating near Pluto's orbit. Ambassador Robert Gray stood at the viewing window, his experienced eyes studying the station. Unlike Earth's defensive platforms, this structure was clearly visible, and clearly meant to impress. It seemed to be built from some kind of crystalline material that sparkled with its own inner light. "They're showing off," muttered his assistant, Tony, standing beside him. "Making sure we know they're not some primitive civilization we can push around." Robert smoothed down his formal diplomatic robes. After 40 years of handling first-contact situations, this was something entirely new. A world that not only rejected the Empire but seemed to possess technology beyond Imperial understanding. The station's docking system took control of their ship with a gentle but irresistible force, guiding them to a berthing port. Robert noticed their ship's artificial gravity briefly fluctuate as it synchronized with the station's field. "Their gravity control is perfect," the ship's captain said with poorly hidden envy. "We still get that slight bump during gravity field transitions." A delegation of Earth representatives waited in the station's meeting chamber. They wore simple blue uniforms without any obvious rank insignia, but Robert's trained eye noticed they carried themselves with quiet confidence. "Welcome to Gateway Station," said a tall woman who introduced herself as Mary Thompson. "We trust your journey was comfortable." Robert gave his most diplomatic smile. "Indeed. Though I must say, we're curious about why Earth chose to reveal this station while keeping its other capabilities hidden." "Simple courtesy," Mary replied. "We didn't want you stumbling around in the dark, looking for a meeting place. Please, have a seat." The meeting room's walls suddenly became transparent, offering a spectacular view of space. Robert tried not to show his surprise. Such technology would be impressive even in the Empire's most advanced facilities. "Let's be direct," Mary said once everyone was seated. "We know why you're here. The Empire wants to know how we developed our technology independently, and more importantly, why we're refusing your generous offer of membership." Robert nodded. "The Empire brings civilization, stability, and technological advancement to all worlds it encounters. Your isolation denies your people these benefits." Mary touched a control panel, and the room filled with holographic images. Robert's breath caught in his throat. He recognized these scenes, Imperial pacification operations on various worlds. But these weren't the official records. These showed the brutal reality: cultural destruction, forced relocations, resource exploitation. "We've been watching," Mary said quietly. "For 30 years, we've had observers on every world you've civilized. We've documented everything. The Empire doesn't bring civilization. It brings uniformity. It doesn't offer stability. It demands submission." "Impossible," Tony burst out. "Our sensors would have detected your observers, just like they detected our defense grid." Mary asked with a slight smile. "Your empire has grown complacent, believing your technology is the peak of achievement. We took a different path." She waved her hand, and new images appeared, peaceful worlds of various development levels, all free from Imperial influence. "These are our allies, worlds we found before you did. Worlds we helped protect their own way of life, their own path of development." Robert felt a chill run down his spine. How many worlds had they missed? How long had Earth been operating in the shadows of the Empire? "This meeting isn't a negotiation," Mary continued. "It's a courtesy notification. Earth's solar system is and will remain closed to Imperial vessels. Any attempt to force entry will be met with appropriate response. Additionally," she paused, making sure she had their full attention, "we are now formally notifying you that any further attempts to forcibly civilize independent worlds will face intervention from Earth and its allies." As Robert stared at the evidence of his empire's actions, seen through outside eyes, he realized this wasn't just a diplomatic problem anymore. Earth wasn't just saying no to the Empire. They were challenging its very way of existence. "The Empire won't accept this," he said quietly. Mary's expression remained calm. "We know. That's why we're prepared to enforce it." The Imperial High Command Center on the capital world of Imperial Prime buzzed with angry voices. In the main strategy room, 12 of the Empire's highest-ranking officials sat around a massive holographic display showing the Earth's solar system. Admiral John Stone slammed his fist on the table. "This is unacceptable. No world has ever dared to not only reject us, but threaten us with intervention in our affairs." High Commander Peter White raised his hand for silence. Unlike the others, he remained calm as he studied the reports from both Captain Reed's scout ship and Ambassador Gray's diplomatic mission. "We face something new here," Peter said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Their technology operates on principles our best scientists can't understand. Their stealth capabilities exceeded our most advanced detection systems, and now we learn they've been watching us for decades without our knowledge." The Imperial Science Director, Dr. Alan Mills, stepped forward. His usual confidence was shaken. "The readings from their space station alone challenge everything we know about physics. They're not just ahead of us. They're operating on a completely different level of scientific understanding." "Then we must have this technology," shouted General Mark Thompson. "Think of what we could do with it. Our control over the galaxy would be absolute." Peter studied the faces around him. Fear mixed with greed in their eyes. The Empire had ruled unchallenged for so long that this situation left them unsure how to respond. "Our spies report increasing unrest in our outer territories," said Intelligence Director Jane Cooper. "Word of Earth's defiance is spreading. 3 worlds have already asked for reduced Imperial presence, citing cultural preservation rights, the same argument Earth used." The room erupted in angry shouts again. Peter watched the chaos with growing concern. In all his years serving the Empire, he'd never seen the High Command so rattled. "What about their claims?" he asked quietly, but his voice carried authority that made everyone fall silent. "The evidence they showed Ambassador Gray. The recordings of our pacification operations. Propaganda." General Thompson spat. "They're trying to undermine our authority." "Are they?" Peter challenged. "We all know what really happens during those operations. We've just never had anyone powerful enough to call us out on it." Dr. Mills cleared his throat nervously. "There's something else. My team analyzed the sensor data from the scout ship, the power readings from Earth's defense grid. They were just a fraction of the station's total capability. They weren't threatening us. They were containing themselves." A heavy silence fell over the room. The implications were clear. Earth had shown remarkable restraint in their first contact. "We can't allow this challenge to stand," Admiral Stone said finally. "Other worlds are watching. If we do nothing, the whole Empire could unravel." Peter stood up slowly, his mind made up. "Then we don't do nothing. We show them the full might of the Imperial fleet. Not just a scout ship, not just a diplomatic vessel. We show them what happens to those who defy the Empire." "The Third Fleet is closest to the Sol system," General Thompson said, quickly pulling up fleet positions. 20 capital ships, 40 destroyers, and over 200 support vessels. More than enough to overwhelm any planetary defense. Peter nodded grimly. "Send the order." "The Third Fleet is to proceed to Sol system with full authorization to use any force necessary to bring Earth under Imperial control." As the others rushed to prepare for war, Peter remained in the strategy room, studying the image of Earth rotating peacefully in the holographic display. "You forced our hand," he whispered to the image. "The Empire must remain strong, must remain in control, no matter the cost." In the depths of space, the massive ships of the Third Fleet began to move. The Empire had made its choice. Earth's defiance would be answered with overwhelming force. They had no way of knowing they were playing directly into Earth's hands. Admiral Bill Ross of the Imperial Third Fleet stood proudly on the bridge of his flagship, Empire's Glory. Around his massive ship, the rest of the fleet moved in perfect formation, the largest battle group ever assembled for a single planetary conquest. "All ships report ready, Admiral," his tactical officer said. "We'll reach Earth's outer defense line in 10 minutes." Bill smiled coldly. "Send the standard surrender demand." Though I doubt they'll be as confident now as they were with a single scout ship. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace just beyond Mars' orbit. The red planet hung in space before them, silent and waiting. Strangely, there was no sign of Earth's famous defense grid. No response to our surrender demand, communications reported, and no sign of defensive installations. "They're hiding again," Bill said. "Full scan of the system. Find those platforms." Suddenly, a single small ship appeared directly in front of the flagship. It was Earth-made, barely the size of a destroyer, with smooth lines that seemed to flow like water. A communication came through on all channels. "Imperial Fleet, this is Captain James Walker of Earth Defense. This is your only warning. Leave our solar system or be destroyed." Laughter erupted across the bridge. Bill himself couldn't help but smile. One ship against the might of the Third Fleet. "Fire a warning shot," he ordered. "Show them what they're dealing with." A destroyer launched a missile at the Earth ship. What happened next made everyone on the bridge freeze in shock. The missile passed straight through the Earth vessel, as if it wasn't there. The ship flickered slightly, then multiplied. Suddenly, there were hundreds of identical ships surrounding the fleet. "Which one is real?" Bill demanded. "All of them are showing as real on sensors." His tactical officer shouted. "No, wait. None of them are. I don't understand." The Earth ships, real or not, began to move. They flowed between Imperial vessels like water, passing straight through solid matter, as if the laws of physics had taken a holiday. Wherever they passed, Imperial ships began to shut down. "We're losing power." Reports came in from across the fleet. "Weapons offline. Engines dead." "Impossible," Bill whispered. He watched helplessly as ship after ship went dark. Their most advanced warships were being turned off like children's toys. Then things got worse. The space around them seemed to bend. Imperial ships found themselves being moved by invisible forces, their positions rearranged as easily as pieces on a game board. Attempts to fire weapons either failed completely or saw the shots curve away harmlessly into space. "Sir," his sensor officer called out in panic. "The planets. They're in the wrong places." Bill looked at his display in horror. Somehow, Earth's defenders had altered their perception of space itself. His fleet was scattered, lost, and powerless. The Earth ships converged again into one vessel, which appeared on the main screen. Captain Walker's face showed no joy in his victory, only quiet determination. "Your weapons can't harm what they can't touch," Walker explained calmly. "Your sensors can't track what doesn't exist in the space you can observe. Your ships can't fight when space itself refuses to cooperate. Leave. Now." As if to emphasize his point, gravity around the Imperial ships suddenly reversed. The mighty Third Fleet found itself being gently, but firmly pushed out of the solar system by space itself. "This is neither an illusion nor a trick," Walker continued. "This is humanity's understanding of the universe. We didn't develop along your technological path because we found a better one. The Empire sees space as something to conquer. We learned to work with it." Bill watched in stunned silence as his mighty fleet was escorted out of the solar system by forces he couldn't begin to understand. 3 hours later, power returned to their ships when they were well beyond Pluto's orbit. "Send word to Imperial Command," he said quietly. "The Third Fleet has," he swallowed hard, "has failed. Earth's defenses are beyond our ability to overcome. We never had a chance." As the fleet retreated in shame, Earth's single ship watched them go. Inside, Captain Walker sent a brief message to Earth Defense Command. "Phase 1 complete. They took the bait. Begin Phase 2. While the Imperial Third Fleet nursed its wounds in deep space, Earth launched its own offensive. But unlike the Empire's bold show of force, this attack moved like whispers through shadows. In the Imperial Central Archive on their capital world, head archivist Paul Davis worked late into the night. He had no idea that the woman quietly cleaning his office wasn't really part of the maintenance staff. Agent Kate Brown of Earth Special Operations continued her work, her advanced stealth suit making her nearly invisible to Imperial sensors. Kate's cleaning tools contained quantum computers more powerful than anything the Empire possessed. As she pretended to dust the archives, she copied massive amounts of data about Imperial operations across the galaxy. Target acquired, she whispered into her hidden communicator. Moving to Phase 2. Similar scenes played out across 100 Imperial worlds. Earth agents, hidden in plain sight, had spent years preparing for this moment. Now they began to act. On the Imperial farming world of Haven, dock worker Rick Wilson, another Earth agent, loaded his usual cargo containers. But today, each container held tiny quantum transmitters, ready to broadcast truth across Imperial communication channels. In the Imperial Navy's main shipyard, Lieutenant David Moore thought he was just running routine system checks. He didn't notice that his new assistant, Earth Agent Jack Turner, was actually reprogramming the shipyard's main computer to release classified records of Imperial military actions against peaceful worlds. All teams report ready, Commander Linda White said from her hidden command center on Earth. She looked at the holographic display, showing hundreds of agents in position across Imperial space. Begin broadcast sequence. Suddenly, across the Empire, every communication channel erupted with information. But this wasn't a simple data dump. Earth's agents had spent years learning which secrets would hit hardest on each world. On industrial worlds, workers saw proof of how the Empire hoarded advanced technology, keeping them dependent on Imperial factories. Agricultural worlds learned how their fair trade agreements actually cheated them of their resources. Military worlds discovered how the Empire had lied about threats to keep them afraid and compliant. In the Imperial Palace, alarms blared as their supposedly unbreakable security systems were bypassed. Security Chief Steve Miller stared in horror as classified files appeared on public channels. "Shut it down," he screamed at his technical team. "Stop the broadcasts." "We can't," one technician replied, panic in his voice. "These signals, they're coming from everywhere and nowhere. They're using our own networks, but we can't trace them." In orbit above the capital, Imperial warships suddenly found their own logs being broadcast to every planet below. Records of attacks on peaceful worlds, secret orders to destroy resistant cultures, and proof of corruption at the highest levels, all carefully selected and verified. Back in his archive, Paul Davis watched in amazement as documents he'd helped hide for years became public knowledge. He looked at his cleaning lady, finally noticing how she moved with too much purpose for a simple maintenance worker. "Who are you people?" he whispered. Kate smiled as she finished her work. "We're from Earth. We didn't come to destroy the Empire. We came to show everyone the truth about it." As the information spread, the Empire's carefully maintained image began to crack. On 100 worlds, people began to question. Resistance movements that had been crushed for generations found new hope. And through it all, Earth's agents continued their work, making sure no one could stop the flow of truth. In Earth's command center, Linda received reports from her teams. "Phase 2 complete," she announced. "Beginning Phase 3. She looked at the message they'd prepare to broadcast next. Technical specifications for Earth's basic defense systems, freely offered to any world that wanted to protect itself from Imperial aggression. The Empire built its power on lies and fear, she said to her staff. Let's see how well it stands up to truth and hope. The real war wasn't going to be fought with ships and weapons. Earth had learned long ago that information was the deadliest weapon of all. And they had just armed the entire galaxy with it. 1 month after Earth's information strike, the Empire was coming apart at the seams. High Commander Peter White stared at the latest reports with growing dread. 20 systems had already declared independence. 30 more were in open rebellion. "Another fleet has gone dark, sir," his aide reported. The Seventh Fleet just announced they're protecting the Liberty system from Imperial aggression. Peter watched the tactical display as more and more sectors turned from Imperial red to neutral gray. Earth hadn't just shared information. They'd given their defensive technology to anyone who wanted to be free. On the mining world of Deep Rock, Governor Tim Baker watched helplessly as the massive Imperial tax collection fleet approached his planet. For generations, Deep Rock had been forced to give up 80% of its valuable minerals to the Empire. "Sir," his defense minister called out, "the Earth defense system is ready." Tim nodded, remembering how Earth technicians had arrived just days ago, freely offering the same technology that had humbled the Third Fleet. "Activate the system." The Imperial ships found themselves suddenly unable to maintain formation. Space itself seemed to twist around them. Their weapons refused to fire, and their sensors showed impossible readings. The mighty fleet retreated in confusion, leaving Deep Rock truly free for the first time in centuries. Similar scenes played out across the galaxy. Imperial power relied on their military might, but Earth's defensive technology made that power useless. Even better, the technology only worked for defense. It couldn't be used to attack others, ensuring the newly freed worlds couldn't become conquerors themselves. Back on Imperial Prime, the palace was in chaos. Intelligence Director Jane Cooper rushed into the emergency meeting, her usual calm shattered. "We've lost contact with the outer territories completely," she reported. "Earth's communication network has replaced our own. We can't stop their broadcasts, we can't track their agents, and we can't overcome their defensive systems." Admiral Stone slammed his fist on the table. "There must be a way to fight back. We're the Empire. We don't lose." "Don't you understand?" Peter said quietly. "We've already lost. Earth didn't need to destroy us. They just needed to show everyone the truth about us, and give them the means to resist." On the agricultural world of Greenhaven, formerly one of the Empire's main food suppliers, farmer Bob Wilson watched his children playing. For the first time, the food his planet produced would feed his own people first, not the Imperial elite. "Thank you," he said to the Earth engineer who'd helped install their defensive system. The engineer smiled. "Just remember, the technology is for defense only. Earth believes every world has the right to choose its own path, as long as they don't force that path on others." The Empire's last attempt to maintain control came 3 weeks later. They gathered every remaining loyal ship for one massive push to retake the rebelling worlds. The combined fleet was 5 times larger than the one that had attacked Earth. It didn't matter. Every world they approached now had Earth's defensive technology. Every attack failed. Every show of force was turned back. The Empire's mighty ships were useless against planets they couldn't even approach. "The outer systems are forming their own alliance," intelligence reported to Peter. "They're calling it the Free Worlds Coalition. Earth is advising them, but refusing any leadership role." Peter looked at the latest map of the galaxy. The Empire's territory had shrunk to less than a quarter of its former size, and it was still shrinking. Worlds that had been under Imperial control for centuries were choosing freedom. "Send the message," he said finally. The Empire will accept talks with the Coalition." As his staff rushed to comply, Peter watched the sun set on Imperial Prime. Earth had never wanted to rule or destroy the Empire. They'd simply armed the galaxy with something more powerful than any weapon. They'd armed it with choice. 1 year after Earth's revelation shook the galaxy, representatives from 300 worlds gathered at Gateway Station. The massive space station near Pluto's orbit, once used to warn away the Empire, now hosted the first Galactic Free World Summit. In the Grand Assembly Hall, Ambassador Mary Thompson of Earth stood before the gathered delegates. Behind her, the vast window showed the distant sun, a tiny bright point in space, yet the source of so much change. "We gather here not as rulers or subjects," Mary began, "but as equals, each world free to choose its own path, while respecting the rights of others to do the same." In the audience, former Imperial Governor Tom Reed, now representative of his freed world, listened with mixed feelings. His planet had been one of the first to break away from the Empire, and the past year had been both challenging and rewarding. Earth's defense technology remains available to any world that pledges to use it only for protection, never aggression, Mary continued. But today, we offer something more. Knowledge. Real knowledge, freely shared. The assembled delegates murmured as holographic displays activated around the hall. Star maps appeared, showing trade routes and resource-rich regions the Empire had kept secret. Scientific data scrolled past, revealing advances in medicine, agriculture, and clean energy that the Empire had hoarded. The Empire maintained power by keeping worlds dependent, Mary explained. We believe in making worlds independent, strong, self-sufficient. From his seat in the back, Peter White, no longer High Commander, but still representing what remained of the Empire, watched with growing understanding. The Empire had tried to control the galaxy. Earth had chosen to free it. What about worlds that want to join the Empire? He asked, standing up. The question silenced the room. Mary smiled. Any world that freely chooses Imperial membership may do so, but they must truly choose it with full knowledge of all options. No more conquest, no more forced membership. The reduced Empire, now just 50 worlds, had learned its lesson. Without military might to enforce its will, it had to offer genuine benefits to attract members. Some worlds still chose Imperial membership, preferring its structure and stability. But they did so by choice, not fear. The galaxy is entering a new age, Mary said. Trade based on fair exchange, not exploitation. Alliances built on mutual respect, not domination. And Earth. She paused, looking around the room. Earth maintains its ban on Imperial ships in our system, not out of fear or hatred, but as a reminder that sometimes the strongest choice is to stand apart. After the speech, various leaders approached Earth's representatives with questions and proposals, but Earth declined all offers of leadership positions in the new coalition. We're not interested in ruling, James Walker, now Earth's defense chief, explained to a group of admirals. We're interested in ensuring everyone has the power to choose their own way. In a quiet corner of the station, Tom met with Peter. The former Imperial governor and the former High Commander looked out at the stars. Did you know? Peter asked. When you broke away first, did you know it would end like this? Tom shook his head. We just knew we wanted to be free. Earth showed us it was possible, gave us the tools to defend ourselves, and trusted us to choose wisely. As the summit concluded, the new galactic map displayed in the hall showed a very different galaxy. The vast red expanse of Imperial space had been replaced by a vibrant mixture of independent worlds, small alliances, and trading partnerships. The Empire remained, but as one power among many, no longer dominant. And Earth's system remained marked in blue, still closed to Imperial ships. But around it, a network of trade routes, communication links, and diplomatic connections spread out across the galaxy. They had chosen to ban the Empire not to isolate themselves, but to show others that isolation was better than submission. The galaxy had learned that true civilization wasn't about conquering or controlling. It was about choosing your own path and letting others choose theirs.